My 35M wife, 36F, had an emotional affair for 7 years with a married man. Would it be a right thing to do to tell his wife? I always thought love stories like ours were rare. High school sweethearts. First kiss at 17. Married by 24. 2 beautiful kids. A home we built from scratch. 14 years together, 12 of them married, and I honestly believed I knew everything about my wife. I was wrong. It started a few weeks ago when she left her phone on the nightstand while she showered. I wasn't snooping, just plugging it in for her because it was at 2%. That's when the screen lit up. A message from someone saved as Jen from Book Club. Except Jen from Book Club was sending heart emojis. And the preview read, "I still think about that night under the stars." My stomach dropped. It didn't make sense. My wife wasn't in a book club. And who texts a female friend like that? I opened the thread. I know, maybe I shouldn't have. But something in my gut screamed look. And what I found shattered me. The contact wasn't Jen. It was a guy named Evan. Hundreds of messages. Going back years. I scrolled. My hands were shaking. My chest was tight. There were pictures of them hiking together, places she told me she went alone. There were messages about how much they meant to each other, how if life were different, maybe they could have been together. She said she loved me, but that Evan understood her in ways no one else could. My wife had been in a 7-year emotional affair. 7 years. I didn't even know who this guy was. But he knew everything about me. She talked about me in the texts, how I was a great father, how she still loved me, but that something was missing. She told him she didn't want to ruin her family. That their connection was safe as long as it stayed in this bubble. This wasn't some random hookup. It was worse. It was intimacy. Secrets. Emotion. A second life. I couldn't sleep that night. I just lay there next to her, staring at the ceiling, feeling like a ghost in my own life. She turned over around 2 a.m. and whispered, "You okay?" I mumbled something about work stress. She kissed my shoulder and fell back asleep. Meanwhile, I was dying inside. The next morning, I dropped the kids at school and parked outside a coffee shop, phone in hand, heart pounding. I reopened the message thread. I needed to know who this Evan was. Buried in the messages, I found out. Evan Miller. My blood went cold. Evan freaking Miller. We went to high school together. We weren't best friends, but we ran in the same circles. Played pickup basketball a few times. I hadn't thought about him in years. Didn't even know he still lived nearby. But the worst part? He's married. Has a wife. 2 daughters. I found that out after 10 minutes of digging through his barely used Facebook. His profile picture was him and his wife smiling with their girls at Disneyland. Suddenly, this wasn't just about me. There was another innocent person in the blast radius. My rage started morphing into something colder, something calculated. This guy had been carrying on an emotional affair with my wife for 7 years while coming home to his own family like nothing was wrong. I kept scrolling through the messages. And that's when I saw it. One message from about 2 years ago said, "When we kissed that night at the lake house, I thought we crossed a line we couldn't uncross. But I've never regretted it." Kissed. So it wasn't just emotional. I couldn't breathe. 7 years. Lies wrapped in smiles. I started replaying every moment she told me she was going out with the girls, every solo hiking trip, every book club night that apparently never existed. All fake. I wanted to scream, to break something, to confront her right then. But I didn't. Instead, I messaged myself the screenshots. Every message. Every photo. Every damn heart emoji. And then I opened up Evan's wife's profile again. Her name was Rachel. From her posts, she seemed sweet. She worked in pediatric nursing. Always posting wholesome photos of her kids and baking tips. Her most recent post was a video of her daughter's ballet recital. Captioned, "So proud of our little star. Daddy cried." Daddy cried? Yeah, well, he wasn't crying when he was sneaking around behind your back. And suddenly, a question popped into my mind like a grenade. Should I tell her? That night, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I was supposed to help the kids with homework and cook dinner. Instead, I poured a drink, sat at the kitchen table, and waited. My wife walked in around 6 p.m., smiling like nothing had happened. She kissed my cheek and started unpacking groceries. "Babe, the store had your favorite cookies on sale." I didn't respond. I just looked at her, jaw clenched. After a moment, she stopped. "What's wrong?" I took a deep breath. "Who's Evan Miller?" She froze. Didn't blink. Didn't move. Just stood there like a statue with a bag of apples in her hand. "What?" she whispered. "You heard me." I reached for my phone and placed it face up on the table, screen already showing the open messages. "I know. I've seen everything." She just stared at the screen. I watched her eyes dart across the words. The color drained from her face. "Why didn't you come to me first?" she finally said. That sentence made me want to flip the table. "Come to you? Are you serious? You've been lying to me for 7 years and you're asking why I didn't give you a chance to spin it." "I didn't cheat, not technically," she said quickly like she had rehearsed it. "It was just emotional. I needed someone to talk to and it just happened." I slammed my hand on the table. "Don't insult my intelligence. You kissed him. You told him you loved him. And you hid it from me for most of our marriage." She started crying. I've seen her cry before when her dad died, when our son broke his arm. This was different. This was guilty. Panicked. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," she whispered. It started before we even got married. I tried to end it so many times, but I just couldn't. He was always there for me in ways you weren't. That part broke me. I wasn't there for you? I said, nearly shaking. I've built a life for you. For our kids. I've sacrificed everything to make sure we're safe and happy, and you're telling me that wasn't enough because I didn't text you like Evan did. She dropped to the floor, sobbing. I didn't sleep with him. I swear. We kissed once. That's it. But everything else, it was wrong. I know. I'm so sorry. I stood up, walked to the hallway. I didn't want my kids to hear this. But something inside me clicked in that moment. I wasn't going to let this get buried like some mistake we could just work through. You know he's married, right? I said coldly. You know he has 2 daughters? She looked up at me, mascara running. Please, don't ruin their family too. It'll destroy everything. I stared at her for a long second. Then I said, you already did. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did she. I stayed in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, her crying echoing through the walls. I wasn't sure if I was more angry or heartbroken, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to keep this secret for her. By morning, I had found Evan's wife's name, Rachel Miller, on Facebook. She looked normal, nice, the kind of woman who bakes cookies for PTA meetings and volunteers at her church. I debated messaging her all day, but I didn't want this to be some cryptic message from a burner account. I wanted to look her in the eye. I wanted to tell her, not as revenge, but as truth. She deserved that much. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I called. It rang 4 times. Then, hello. Her voice was polite but cautious. Cleared my throat. Hi. This is going to sound crazy, but my name is Aaron. I think we need to talk. It's about your husband, Evan. There was silence. Then a soft, what about him? I didn't beat around the bush. I told her everything. How I found the messages. How far back they went. I even read out a few lines so she'd know I wasn't bluffing. She didn't interrupt me. Not once. Just quiet breathing on the other end of the line. After a long pause, she said, can you send me the screenshots? I already have them ready, I replied. Do you want me to email them or a text? Please. I sent them. All of them. Then I asked her, do you want to meet in person? I can answer any questions you have. She said yes. We met at a small coffee shop the next day. I showed her more messages and we talked for almost 2 hours. She wasn't angry, she was devastated. Said she had no clue. That she'd suspected something once years ago, but Evan had convinced her it was all in her head. I told her I wasn't trying to blow up her life, just that I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay while someone else was unknowingly living a lie. And that's when she said something that caught me completely off guard. You're the first person who's ever been honest with me about him. The next 48 hours were chaos. After I met Rachel and gave her everything, she didn't waste time. She confronted Evan that same night. Apparently, he denied it at first, but she had the screenshots, the timestamps, the proof. She told him to pack his things and leave. And then, he came for me. I was at work in the middle of a meeting when the front desk called and said, hey, there's a man named Evan here to see you. Says it's urgent. I stepped out, heart pounding. He was standing in the lobby, eyes wild, nostrils flared like a bull seconds before charging. You told my wife, he hissed. What the F*** is wrong with you, man? I didn't back down. You cheated with my wife. For 7 years. What did you expect me to do, protect you? You ruined my ing life. No. You did that. He lunged at me. Security had to pull him off. He kept screaming about how I had no right, how I should have come to him first. Like this was a business deal gone bad, not a betrayal that gutted 2 families. Later that day, my boss called me in. He was understanding, thankfully, but he said if Evan ever showed up again, I needed to report it. That kind of drama, even if justified, wasn't good for business. That night, my wife tried to talk to me again. I heard Evan confronted you. I laughed bitterly. Oh, you heard? What a fun little circle we've got here. She sat down across from me, hands trembling. I never wanted to hurt you. I looked her dead in the eye. But you did. Every day for 7 ing years. She cried again. I didn't comfort her this time. I was too busy thinking about the fallout. Not just the wreckage of our marriage, but the way the truth was a bomb I'd willingly dropped, and maybe, for once, it landed exactly where it needed to. After Evan's meltdown, my wife became eerily quiet. No more crying fits, no more apologies. Just silence. She'd walk around the house like a ghost, barely there. Then, one night, I woke up to her standing at the edge of the bed, staring at me. Jesus, what are you doing? I jumped. She flinched. I couldn't sleep. She climbed in without another word. That next morning, I was in our shared office looking for tax documents when I found a USB drive in the drawer. No label. Just there. Something about it felt off. I plugged it into my laptop. There were folders. Photos. Videos. Emails. Everything. Everything. Thing. Asterisk. Not just her and Evan. Other men. At least 2 others. One folder was full of screenshots of a guy named Travis who she'd met at a work conference in Dallas. Another folder had a string of Venmo receipts with flirty messages. I recognized none of the names. It wasn't a 7-year affair with Evan. It was 7 years of lying, of cheating, with multiple people. It shattered me all over again. I confronted her that night. Calm. Cold. You didn't just cheat on me with Evan. Who's Travis? She froze like I'd slapped her. You went through my stuff? You hid our entire marriage behind a USB stick and want to play the victim? She sank to the floor. I was lonely. You were always working. I didn't know how to stop. Bullshit. You chose this. Repeatedly. You didn't stop because you didn't want to. She sobbed and begged. Again. But it didn't matter anymore. You're going to pack a bag. Tonight. Go stay with your sister, your mother, I don't care. But you're not staying here. She looked up, face smeared with tears. Are we done? I nodded. We've been done for a long time. I just didn't want to see it. She left that night. I watched her drive off with a duffel bag and no idea when, if I'd ever see her again in person. I didn't cry. I was too numb to feel anything except a quiet kind of peace that only comes after the last explosion in a war zone. But there was one last thing I hadn't done. Rachel. Evan's wife. I still had her number saved from our one and only call. I stared at it for days, unsure what good it would do. Would it give me closure? Would it just cause her pain? Then she called me. I froze when I saw the name. I picked up. Hey, she said. Her voice was softer than I remembered. Tired. I just wanted to let you know. I left him. I exhaled. Rachel. I'm sorry. I should have called. I just didn't know if No. Don't apologize. You gave me the truth. That's more than he ever did. Silence. Then she added, I saw a lawyer. I'm filing this week. Just thought you deserved to know. We talked for an hour. Turns out, her marriage had been crumbling long before I ever made that call. Evan's affair wasn't even his first. She thanked me again before hanging up. I sat there staring at the phone, thinking about how 2 marriages just disintegrated over years of lies. But something about that conversation helped. It was the first time since this whole thing started that I didn't feel like I was stuck in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Now, a month later, I'm living in a short-term rental. My lawyer's working on the divorce. I see my daughter on weekends. She's young. Doesn't really understand what's happening, and I plan to keep it that way for now. All she knows is that Daddy loves her and that's what matters. As for my wife, she's still trying to call, text, beg. But I don't respond. Not anymore. I've spent 7 years in the dark, and now, finally, I've stepped into the light. It's not easy, but it's honest. And for the first time in a long time, I can finally breathe.